Hello, YouTube, and welcome. Today I want to talk about Bollinger Bands, something that I'm not sure many people use, but it was something that I used to use when I first started to learn about credit spreads. And it is helpful, I'll tell you that, because it'll keep you within the levels, something I call bowling with bumpers, right? You've ever been bowling and you've ever had a gutter ball and you've ever been to when the kids actually go bowling and they put these bumpers on to make it so that they don't have these embarrassing moments. Well, that is what Bollinger Bands are for me in the way that I've learned how to use them, in addition to looking at these levels for you to put these credit spreads in. So let's talk about that with an example, right? Nothing like an example. So here is SPX, good old SPX, and I'm going to look at the 30-minute because I'm going to put two things together for you. Yes, we're going to use the Bollinger Bands, but first I want us to look at these levels. What does this look like? And this is the 30-minute. So we're going to have a little bit of an aerial review of what's going on. So I want us to do this, and I will do a class just on supply and demand, but just watch this, right? So usually when we have a violent drop, that is our supply zone. But I'm going to be a little bit more generous, and I'm going to say this is a supply zone right up here. I'm going to be very generous with the levels. I'm going to say this is our demand zone right here, right here, and then here's another supply zone down here. Okay, so that's first because we need to mark out where our levels are of possibly where the market could go. Right, so there's one. We're going to put these in red because this is going to be a resistance level. And I'll do a class on just this. But I want to get you used to looking at this because it's important. You really need to map out what it is that you're looking at. So this looks a little bit better, right? So here's another supply right here. Violent drop. Okay. So we're going to go there. That's a violent drop that happened there. And we're going to make it in red. Amazing. Right? Not too hard. I'm really trying to oversimplify this so you can follow along. So here we are. I'm going to now bring up my Bollinger Bands. So let's go for Bollinger Bands. Where are you? Here we are. I want to explain though something further. Usually Bollinger Bands come in two standard deviations. So this is important. Two standard deviation is the mean, right? The normal, everybody uses it. I like to be extra safe with these credit spreads because you don't know, especially in this market, you don't know what may happen. So you want to give yourself extra cushion room. So I'm going to make this into three, right? So instead of two, we're making this three, and we're making this other one also three. Great. One more thing, we're getting rid of the midline. That I don't want that. I just want lower and upper, and just I made the lower red and the upper green. You can make it whatever colors, it doesn't matter. Here we are, right? So this keeps you within the Bollinger Bands. It's telling you, all right, this is the high. We're probably going to turn around and come down to the low. This would have been the low, right? Again, I'm using three standard deviations, so this is going to be an extra caution. If, let's say, I'm looking at this day in the middle, right? And I see that we went up. We're close to the high of that Bollinger, and then we came back down. I could put a call credit spread above this level, maybe to be safe above this supply zone, if we're able to make enough money off of it, right? I'm not going to put a bet for 5 or 10 cents, right? At least for me, I'm at least trying to get 30 cents or $30 out of this play to make it worth my time. Again, I do a couple of these, so it really does work very well for me. So I'm going to look for levels that are at least above the Bollinger, getting closer to this supply zone, right? So then we would come over here and we're going to look up levels and to confirm, right? If I'm looking at the level, let's go back. I mean, it's not going to be what it is here, right? So because now we're way up here, but I just want to look at this day. So if it was above this day, I would look for 40, 53, 45 minimum. right? So 45, something like that, right? So the next step we're going to look is delta. This one, because it is a different day, the delta is 47. There's no way I'm going to take that. I need at least 10. 15 is my max these days, and then 10 to be even safer, right? But at least now I have levels to go and confirm that these are possibly good levels for me to use in order for it to stay within the levels. Because we're in the 30-minute. I always like an aerial view of everything. I like going from the top and then going more micro. So macro, big view, more micro. So these are let's even these 2 days, right? But I was looking at this. So here we can see how the top of the Bollinger is here. Here was the supply zone. So somewhere around here would be a nice level to put in our call. As this comes in here, that's when I would place my call credit, as long as I see that it has rejected the top part. I'll enter the call credit. If I wanted to, and let's say we had dropped, or it's holding support here, I could have entered a put credit spread below this level, right below this Bollinger, which is at 48.35. I could enter that because that makes me now feel safer. I want us to go back, though, to look at the Bollinger Bands to see what if we had left them at 2, right? You'll notice the difference here right away if we were to do that, right? So you see how this is now lower, and this was down here. This is now closer. So this is what I mean about putting it on 3 standard deviation. It gives us that extra cushion in case. I don't want to place it right here because it could still push up, right? It could still push up. The other one was a little bit higher, so it's giving me at least an extra something, right? All right, so that's for today. I wanted to go over that. If you also want to add, which you should, your EMAs to tell more of the story, yes, put that on top. But I think it's better sometimes just to leave it on its own, just to see what the candles are doing, right? So now, if we're putting this together, oh, look, the 50 SMA, I'm sorry, this is the 100 SMA, is right at the supply zone, which also is on the 2 standard deviation of the Bollinger Band. Interesting. That's our defense that we were talking about last time. That's a big defense. So that means we're probably going to drop, and it's safe to put in a call credit spread. Here we dropped. There's nothing real holding it here, but the Bollinger Band is a little high up. It was down here. I would feel comfortable below this previous support to put in now the put credit spread, right? So it's all about building the story and the probabilities. I hope this helped. I will make another video with more insightful ideas for you to add for these credit spreads, and also it will really help your trading game, even if you're trying to scalp or swing, because with the Bollinger Band, you're able to see the low, and then you're able to get in to go back up, or if it hit the high, you're able to play it down. Okay, talk soon. Bye-bye.